for Luke Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. There can be no denying that we are entering a new world with the advent of new technologies that fundamentally reshape the relationship between citizens and the state. And there is probably no more vivid an example of that than in the case of live facial recognition technology. This is an issue that is rightly causing great concern among people across London and throughout the UK. I am, for instance, concerned about the installation of permanent cameras in Croydon, just next door to my community in Sutton-in-Sheen. And in Sutton itself, the use of roaming facial recognition cameras has already caused anxiety amongst local people, not least the thousands of Hong Kongers who call Sutton home, many of whom escaped exactly this kind of potentially abusable surveillance from the Chinese government, only to now find it trying to take root in Britain. And that anxiety has often been met with the unfair and often disproven riposte that if you have done nothing wrong, you have nothing to worry about. It is undeniable that without proper safeguards, this technology can be a negative force, either through human malpractice or perhaps just as worryingly, technological shortcomings. Research from the US has shown that the technology can be racially biased, struggling to distinguish between non-white people because it was trained on white faces. Research from the Alan Turing Institute has shown that a version of this technology developed by Microsoft has a 0% error rate in identifying white men, but a 21% error rate in identifying dark-skinned women. These would be worrying facts in their own right, but we are talking about liberty and justice here, the two cornerstones of our democracy. We must be very careful about adopting technology that undermines that, and any sensible legislator would want those safeguards in place. Anything that further erodes trust in the police by minority communities must be resisted and avoided. Our neighbours in the EU have done just that, limiting the use of this technology unless it is absolutely necessary for security or rescue, and requiring judicial oversight or an independent administrative authority to facilitate its safe use even in that case. That is why we have put forward this amendment, New Clause 19, to follow our European neighbours in making sure that this technology is only deployed in limited circumstances and with a maximum amount of oversight. Our proposed measures, including a new oversight body and new powers for the Information Commissioner's Office to monitor the use of this tech, present a path forward that we urge the government to take. Without it, we will continue to languish without a proper legal framework whilst permanent cameras are installed. It would be a democratic and civil liberties tragedy for there to be an embedding of this technology before safeguards have been properly considered. It will put us on a path to a kind of creeping digital authoritarianism. And to put it another way, it is unfair even on those who have to use the technology. Currently, police services across the country seem to effectively set their own rules on usage without proper guidance. To protect them from bad intelligence leading to awful miscarriages of justice, they deserve clarity just as much as the public does on the right way to make use of this tech. Nobody seriously doubts that this sort of technology and other major advancements in fighting crime will continue to arrive on our shores. But the question is just about how we wield the new powers they afford us in a judicious manner. That has always been the task for legislators and enforcers. Forgive the trite idiom, but it remains true that with great power comes great responsibility. Indeed, this is about a central question of our times, how we protect privacy and liberty whilst keeping ourselves safe in the hyper-digital age.
Safeguards for the use of facial recognition technology in public spaces.
The question is that New Clause 19 be read a second time. Shadow Minister.
Thank you. Facial recognition technology, when deployed responsibly and with appropriate safeguards, is an incredibly valuable tool in modern policing and public protection. It's already been used to identify serious offenders wanted for violent crime, terrorism, child exploitation, locate vulnerable individuals, including missing children at risk, and enhance safety in high-risk environments such as transport hubs, major events and public demonstrations. Facial recognition technology enables rapid, real-time identification without the need for physical contact, something traditional methods like fingerprinting or ID checks cannot provide in fast-moving situations. It can accelerate investigations, reduce resource demand, and ultimately make public spaces safer. The technology is improving in accuracy, especially when governed by transparent oversight, independent auditing, and clear operational boundaries. I'd be grateful for further comments on whether the proposer and the government feel this regulation on this crucial technology could limit the ability of law enforcement to respond swiftly to emerging threats or intelligence-led operations.
I'm grateful to the Honourable Member for setting out the case for introducing new safeguards for the use of live facial recognition. And I agree there needs to be appropriate safeguards for the use of this technology, but this is an issue that I think requires careful consideration and cannot be shoehorned into this bill. And I would say very strongly to the Honourable Gentleman that live facial recognition is a valuable policing tool which helps keep communities safe. And I think some of the Honourable Gentleman's information that he was using is a little out of date, if I may say so. The use of facial recognition technology is already subject to safeguards, and I think despite what the Honourable Gentleman was implying, this includes the Human Rights Act and the Data Protection Act, amongst others. And I fully accept, however, that there is a need to consider whether a bespoke legislative framework is needed governing the use of live facial recognition technology for law enforcement purposes. So we need to get this right, balancing the needs to protect communities from crime and disorder while safeguarding individual rights. So to this end, I have been listening to stakeholders and have already held a series of meetings about facial recognition, including with policing, with regulators, with research institutions, with civil society groups and with industry to fully understand the concerns being raised and what more can be done to improve how it is being used. Now, I will outline our plans for facial recognition in the coming months. So in the meantime, having had this opportunity to air this important issue, I hope the Honourable Member would be content to withdraw his new clause.
So does the Honourable Gentleman want to press?
Thank you. Based on the comments and based on the assurances, I'd be happy to withdraw. I'd be interested in being involved in any discussions and updates as that comes forward.